When we imagine hell, we usually imagine fire, flames, burning landscapes, rivers of molten rock, an eternal furnace where the damned are consumed by heat. But in one of the most influential visions of hell ever written, the very bottom of hell is not burning at all. It is frozen, and at its center, trapped within an enormous lake of ice, is Satan himself. This terrifying image comes from Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, written more than 700 years ago. Centuries later, the Italian artist Filippo Bigioli transformed Dante's words into an extraordinary image of Lucifer, imprisoned in the frozen depths of hell. And behind this strange depiction of a frozen devil lies a much deeper idea, an idea about what Dante believed evil actually was. Dante begins the Inferno lost in a dark forest. There, he encounters the Roman poet Virgil, who becomes his guide through the underworld. Together, they pass through the gates of hell and begin descending through its 9 circles. But Dante's hell is not simply a giant chamber, where every sinner receives the same punishment. It has an order, and the deeper Dante travels, the more serious the sins become. Near the beginning are those overcome by uncontrolled desire. The lustful are thrown endlessly through violent winds, representing how they allowed their passions to carry them through life. The gluttonous lie beneath freezing, filthy rain. The greedy push enormous weights against one another. But Dante continues downward. Violence is punished more severely. Fraud is lower still. And eventually Dante reaches the 9th and final circle. Here we might expect the greatest flames of hell. Instead, everything becomes cold. Before Dante and Virgil stretches a gigantic frozen lake called Cocytus. This is the final circle of hell, the realm of betrayal. The souls trapped here are those whom Dante considers guilty of one of humanity's worst sins, betraying someone who trusted them. And the deeper into the lake Dante travels, the worse the betrayal becomes. Some souls have only their heads trapped above the ice. Others are almost completely submerged. Eventually, Dante reaches the innermost region of the 9th circle, Judeca. Its name comes from Judas Iscariot, the disciple who betrayed Christ. Here are those who betrayed their masters and benefactors. They are completely sealed beneath the ice, and rising above them is an enormous figure, Lucifer. This is the moment Filippo Bigioli chose to depict. Look closely at Bigioli's image. This is very different from the devil we often see in popular culture. There is no magnificent throne, no army gathered around its ruler, no devil proudly reigning over his kingdom. Instead, Lucifer dominates the image through his enormous size, while the frozen landscape around him becomes his prison. His body emerges from the ice, monstrous in comparison with the human figures around him. Bigioli gives us something that initially appears overwhelmingly powerful, but the longer we look at him, the more powerless he becomes, because Dante's Satan barely seems like a ruler at all. He is a prisoner. His enormous body is trapped inside the frozen lake. Only the upper part of him rises above the ice. He has 3 faces. One looks forward, while 2 others emerge from either side of his head. Beneath them are gigantic wings, but these are not the beautiful, feathered wings we might associate with the angel Lucifer once was. They resemble the wings of a bat. Satan constantly beats them, desperately moving the frozen air around him. But there is a terrible irony. The movement of his own wings creates the freezing wind that keeps Cocytus frozen. The harder he beats his wings, the more securely he imprisons himself. His wings should represent freedom. Instead, they have become part of his punishment. Satan is helping to create his own prison. And this is one of the most powerful ideas in Dante's depiction of evil. The horror continues with Satan's 3 faces. Each face has a mouth, and inside each mouth is a traitor. The central mouth contains Judas Iscariot. For Dante, Judas committed the ultimate betrayal. He betrayed Christ. But the other 2 mouths contain figures from Roman history, Brutus and Cassius. They were among the conspirators responsible for the assassination of Julius Caesar. Dante therefore brings together betrayal from Christian and Roman history. Judas betrayed Christ. Brutus and Cassius betrayed Caesar, and all three are eternally crushed within the jaws of Lucifer. But Satan himself is not enjoying their suffering. Dante describes him weeping. Tears run from his 6 eyes. The creature who rebelled against God has achieved none of the freedom he desired. Instead, he has become almost completely powerless. And this raises the most interesting question. Why ice? Why would Dante place Satan in a frozen lake rather than surrounded by fire? The answer is connected to Dante's understanding of God. God represents perfect love. And if God is the ultimate source of love, then moving away from God means moving away from that love. At the very bottom of hell, the souls are as distant from God as they can possibly be. There is no warmth, there is no community, there is almost no movement. Everything is cold, isolated, and motionless. Betrayal fits perfectly into this idea. To betray someone, particularly someone who trusts or loves you, is to destroy a human relationship. It turns closeness into isolation, trust into suspicion, love into hatred. And so Dante's traitors are physically separated from one another. They are locked individually inside the ice. The punishment reflects the sin, and this completely changes the traditional idea of Satan ruling hell. In Dante's universe, Satan does not govern the underworld like a king. He is its most pathetic prisoner. His enormous size initially makes him appear powerful, but that power is useless. He cannot escape. He cannot even stop the mechanism that keeps him imprisoned. His wings, which should represent freedom, instead create the wind that freezes the lake around him. And perhaps most importantly, Satan barely speaks. There are no great speeches, no clever negotiations, no triumphant declarations of war against heaven. At the lowest point of hell, evil has almost nothing to say. Dante's Satan has become something less than the magnificent angel he once was. He is enormous physically, but spiritually empty. Even the geography of Dante's hell reflects Satan's fall. According to the poem, when Lucifer rebelled against God, he was thrown from heaven. He crashed into the earth with such force that the land itself recoiled from him. The enormous cavity created by his fall became hell, and Lucifer eventually became lodged at the very center of the earth. This means Dante's entire journey through hell has been leading towards him. But something strange happens when Dante and Virgil finally reach Satan. They do not fight him, they climb him. Virgil waits for the movement of Lucifer's wings and then grabs onto the devil's body. With Dante following him, Virgil climbs down Satan's enormous fur-covered torso. Eventually, they reach his waist, and then the entire world seems to turn upside down. Virgil begins climbing in what appears to be the opposite direction. Dante is confused. But they have just passed the center of the earth. Gravity has reversed. They are no longer descending into hell. They are climbing out of it. Satan, the figure who appeared to be the final, terrifying destination of their journey, literally becomes the ladder they use to escape. And this is what makes Biglioli's image so fascinating. At first glance, it is simply a horrifying depiction of the devil, a gigantic monster rising from a frozen wasteland at the very bottom of hell. But look at it through Dante's ideas, and the image changes. This is not Satan triumphant, it is Satan defeated. His wings cannot carry him anywhere, his enormous body cannot move, his 3 mouths cannot free him. The cold surrounding him is partly created by his own desperate struggle. The devil is trapped inside a prison that he helps maintain. And perhaps that is why Dante's frozen hell can be more disturbing than one filled with flames. Fire still moves, fire still produces light, fire still produces warmth. But Dante's final circle has almost none of these things. At the furthest possible distance from divine love, everything has become motionless, cold, dark, alone. At the center of it all is the being who tried to place himself above God. And after descending through every circle of hell, Dante finds that the supposed Prince of Darkness possesses no kingdom at all.